Hello, welcome back to day 10. We had a lot of rain and I was walking through the garden when it cleared. I was looking at the leaves and the way the water fell on the leaves, and I think we always focus on flowers, but leaves are actually so beautiful. I'm just cutting a background on my brother, so I've basically just selected, it's like a doily, which I'll turn. I just made the size the same as, or roughly the same as the page. So this is how the cut from the brother looks. I did it specifically on the wood grain paper to give it a sort of naturalistic feel. It probably could have been a little bit wider, so that'll be the background. I like the brown and the black, the sharp contrast, but I'm wondering if I shouldn't do something on the black still. I've got a stain, it's bundled sage, which I think is probably going to give the sort of colour of the lamb's ear. And I've got a crackle, like a crazing. I don't know if these two are meant to be used together, but I mean, if it doesn't work, it's fine. I'm going to put it behind this, I don't know what to call it, doily cutout. So I did the whole page with a crackle, put on the doily, and then did the stained crackle right on the edges so that they seem sort of viney, I guess. I'm going to dry it with a heat gun, see how it looks, and then maybe just rub in some of the dye on the edges again. I think you can probably stain it. Most of the Tim Holt stuff work together, or I mean, I can watch a YouTube video, but where's the fun in that? I don't know. I definitely don't see any crackles. To me, it just looks like a I don't know, gel medium gesso. I did take some of the bundled sage and I rubbed it into the wood paper because it looked too white. I am now going to distress and sand this page because I want it quite grungy. I used a combination of like little page rasps and a sanding block, like nail file almost, and I just went over, so it's much smoother. A lot of the shine's off, and there's definitely like some stuff missing on the page. This is still a bit shiny, but it's difficult with the things to get in there. I'm going to go over with texture paste. I'm looking for a shape that's not a shape. This is like brick stones, so it's not too out of place, but I want to do it in a color that you can definitely see it. I've pulled out a lot of tints. They're all in autumn colors. I think after the rain for us and my walk in the garden, I'm really, I'm starting to realize it's autumn, changing of the seasons. And it's something that you're not necessarily aware of being now in lockdown because you're not dressing that much different. This is a clear embossing paste, which I'm going to tint with the stains. I'm not going to do a very regular, just here and there. Wondering why I seem to have a lot of different brands and things that I've never tried. I buy a lot of things secondhand. I get a lot of gifts, and I mean, if you're buying secondhand, so what if it doesn't work? Take a chance, right? And also for me, secondhand gives me an opportunity to say, oh, I'm never going to use this. I actually don't like it. I'm just putting the stains out on my craft mat, and then in little puddles, and what is this? And then go from there. And then I've got like a metallic one that I just put some water on, and I'm doing it in a pipette. I'm just making some like very airy bubbles. So hopefully they dry with some of that air texture or somehow. I don't know. Total messy play here. Like a preschooler. I don't want a solid bubble. I want some of that. See, maybe it works. It's different than a splatter because it's far more translucent the way it falls because of the air. So as a bubble pop also the colour transfers a bit. Again, not a technique I've tried. We'll see when everything is dry. I've done some darker colours, some lighter colours. I like it. Almost all of the little swirls are gone, but I don't think that's such a big issue. Okay, now I'm tempted. These leaves aren't pressed or dried or anything, but I have seen people do glue gun wax seals over them, and then they look beautiful because the wax, almost the glue, hot glue gun, almost acts like a preservative. I am willing to try it today on these little purple guys here. And really, I mean, it's not museum quality that they need to stay there forever and ever. This page is really not my sort of colour scheme. I like it, but it's not my first choice. I just lifted and moved some stuff on my desk. I've got this bird sticker from yesterday still. I'm going to try it, put it over the leaves, and then seal over that. Maybe the vellum sticker hates the hot glue. I don't know. By the way, I've not used a heat gun on the texture paste, so I'm waiting for it to dry by itself as much as it can. And then as a last, I'll use some of the heat gun. So that just goes over that. It probably won't stick very well over the wet stuff. And then let's do the glue gun. So it's just a glob of glue and then you seal it. So I've made it slightly oversized, the hot glue, and you wiggle it a bit and then you stamp. If you want to have a look at someone who's really good at making wax seals, her name is Ripples, Rippels, and then underscore paper lover. Yes. On Instagram, and she's really good with making wax seals. And of course, now it's like, what is this page about? You had this clear inspiration. This is from, my kids have this cereal every morning, Future Life, and the line was, life has changed, so should your diet, and I just snipped that off. So I think that's quite applicable for where we are now. And as luck would have it, it fits on the page. The orange isn't bad. I think it can have some work. I'm going to go with that. And then the glue seal came out nicely, and you can still see the sticker, and you can still see the gold, and you can still see the little leaves. How long those will last, whether they'll actually just end up being pressed in the journal, I don't know. Just be careful. The glue's still tacky because it was quite exaggerated, so don't touch it and mess up a wax seal if you try something like that. I think what I don't like about this is the text that's white, but it's already printed on like a glossy, so I wonder what I can do, whether I can write over it or paint over it to make it a different colour. These are my options. If they don't take, I maybe will just rough up the letter a little bit to see if I can create some key and then try. And I mean, if it doesn't work, it's going to wipe off the gloss in any case. So I've taken like the smallest of my little rasps and I'm just like dragging it through the letter, like tracing almost, and that gives a bit, not sure, it gives a bit of a key. So let's see, I think these Nuvos are going to be too watery. Maybe the Distress crayons. Well, one day I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do a page where I've tried everything before and I'm going to look like a pro. That's pretty good actually. There's a bit of white right at the edges where I couldn't get it fully distressed, but it's better than the white on the page. Let me see. It's okay. If you didn't have a little sandy thing, I'm sure you could have done like a scissor tip or something. I think I'm going to do life and you in a different color, or maybe changed maybe. Choices. In case you were, let's get this back. In case you were wondering, these little, what are they, like aqua flow? It's a little thing that you press out of the canister here and then you paint with it. But I mean, it is messy. This is done. I'm going to stick it on. It's okay. I like it more than the white because it blends into the page more. I don't want to call it done, except I've got a stamp with a lady with like stuff coming out of her hair. Try it. It's one of these. They're both Prima Finnabair stamps. So I just want that little bit, which may just fit in there. Oh, this is the other one. I just need to stamp it so that it, I think this one, I'm less likely to, there's more face and hair. So what I'm doing is I'm not even mounting the whole stamp, so I won't be tempted. So I must just make sure when I ink is that I don't ink the little tips of the wings. But I think even if the tips of the wings show, that won't be the end of the world actually, as long as I don't get the text in. Okay, now it needs to be in a nice like brown. Stamp is turquoise, so it's quite handy with the brown to see where you've inked. That's good. She could have been closer to the sentiment, but with the change in... Oh, you know, I didn't even glue it down. Dumb. I could have stamped it. Oh, but I suppose I can just move the sentiment now. Yeah, I can do that. But now I've got this again. Maybe stamp her again. Stamp some leaves. Yeah, because that irritates me. Okay, I'm going to move the sentiment to there, and we'll stamp something else there. I'm just stamping a swirl, and then I've also gone over with some copper on this little grainy one. You can almost not see it, but it adds a bit of texture. Let me just see. Okay, that can have a little bit more. That's all in the same color, and it's not solid. The texture paste is mostly dry, so I'm not smudging. Yeah, that's good. So there's some movement. Okay, and then I like the page. I don't love it. I'm just going over it. I even did over the leaves. Okay, now that can go. Yeah. Okay, that's done. I'm going to show it at an angle because of the sheen on some of the products. I like it. I do like the translucent texture paste that has the dye in, because it does actually dry like stained glass almost. This could have been better. I don't hate it. I like the seal, I like the bird, I like the little bit of leaves. So clearly an autumn inspired page. Yeah. Here we go. I like her. Lots of detail. And then there is actually now a slight crack in the product I applied first. So I am happy that I did that, even though I was massively underwhelmed to start off with. That's it for day 10. Once again, thanks for watching and thanks for all the interaction. We're going into double digits. Bye.